I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
Okay, we're recording. All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Stephen Basita. I'm your host of the podcast, Get It. I'm on the social Nostra network. And today I am joined by Mel C. She's going to tell you her last name because I have a hard time enunciating it. Thanks for joining us. And go ahead, hit us with your last name.
It's Catasquillo, technically, but it was really difficult to learn in kindergarten, so I don't blame anyone for butchering it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to spare myself from butchering it. So it's great to have you on, and thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you that have been following my podcast here, I've been highlighting different women that have made something of themselves and just continuing to give women a voice that are continuing to make a name for themselves and carve their own way in the world. And I'm a big believer in women empowerment. Women run my world. I have a wife and a daughter we'll find out if it's a girl this week, actually. No, today's Friday, Thursday. So next week I'll find out if I'm having another girl or not. I actually do want to have another girl. I love being a girl dad. So we'll find out soon, but just wanting to continue to give women a voice. I think it's really important. Women run the world, even if we don't necessarily acknowledge that yet. And nothing against men. I'm a man. I think it's a good thing, but wanting to continue to do that. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at and how you got there, and give us that little journey.
For sure. Well, first, I want to thank you for having me as part of this podcast. It's truly an honor. And also for just even putting this podcast together and giving women perspective into other women's lives and sort of their journey and how they've been able to successfully navigate some challenging environments. So my name is Mel. I think I don't want to go too far back, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that my journey began being raised by a second generation single mom. So that means my grandma was a single mom in the 60s and my mom was a single mom my whole life. So I really grew up around this environment and this idea that there was nothing I couldn't do. I watched my mom and my grandma work and go to school. My grandma got her associate's degree when I was about 5. And my mom and I both graduated at the same time. I graduated high school and she got her bachelor's degree in the same year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so to me, the journey begins there with really this idea that there was nothing outside the realm of possibility for me. And originally, I wanted to be an astronaut. So I went to school for aerospace engineering, and it was not a good fit for me, to say the least. I think there's a reason they call it rocket science. And so I really wasn't sure then what I wanted to do. So I took different jobs. And I think a lot of young people struggle with that, right? You're supposed to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life at 18. And
Right.
You really don't have a ton of exposure to the outside world. So knowing what you want to do, if you do know when you're 18, that's fantastic. What a phenomenal gift. But if you don't, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Okay.
So I worked different jobs. And then the recession hit in 2006.
Yes.
And, it affected all of us. And while I was looking for another job, a friend of mine had a dad who was a lobsterman. Okay. And he said, hey, while you're looking for something else, can you help me import my lobster and sell it to different companies? And I said, sure. Goodness knows I'm not getting a job in fashion anytime soon. The whole economy has gone to nothing. But food is a pretty resilient industry. Everybody needs to eat regardless. So I just absolutely ended up falling in love with it. The romance of the fisherman, this idea that someone was going and hunting your food, the idea of sustainable food systems, putting protein into the world that is something that's healthy and something that really sustains a great number of jobs. And the ability to work with retail, the ability to work with chefs, the ability to just work in all these different realms just through this one protein. It's just something that just came over me like a wave. And that was 11 years ago. And, or no, my gosh, it was 14 years ago now. And it's just something that has just been, I've been enamored with my entire career. So I think it's sort of interesting. I never grew up as a little girl wanting to sell fish, but now I couldn't dream of doing anything else. Okay. So today I'm fortunate to represent a co-op of second and third generation farmers in Iceland and Norway. And we bring their salmon into the US market. And I get to work with retailers and top chefs in the country, educating them about, these farmers' methods, and just bringing this great sustainable protein to the US market.
Nice. That's awesome. So, wow. First of all, I didn't know about the 2 generations of single moms, and that is such a unique and amazing story, and how each person has overcome clearly a lot of obstacles. I am a dad, and gosh dang. I tell you what, if I had to be being a single parent, and I have my moments where I'm a single parent because my wife will leave for a week for a work trip or something. That's 1 week. 1 week. Just for anybody that's never done single parenting in your life, with 1 child, 1 week with 1 child. Oh my goodness. I always get a new perspective on how much credit we just need to give moms, and especially single moms. It's mind blowing. And if you're a single mom with multiple kids, kudos to you. I just, gosh, man, I know we figure things out, but if I don't have any family close, and neither does my wife. My wife's from New York. I'm from Washington State. We live in Southern California, so it's us. So when I'm single dadding it, I am single dadding it. I have thankfully amazing friends that will help out, and there's times I've definitely had to call for help for something, because I also, during those times I owned multiple businesses and I'm running around like a crazy person. Things have changed now with the coronavirus, obviously, but I can't imagine, man. That is just such a awesome story to hear, and even cooler to hear about how you and your mom graduated. You're graduating high school, she's graduating with her bachelor's degree. That's awesome. And so talking about how you're in the food industry, and we know that it's a male-dominated industry, and you're a woman dominating a male-dominated industry. So tell us a little bit about that. And then I also know that in a previous conversation we had, because there's a need and a want for women in this industry, there are scholarships that women can get that are only for women to be in this industry. So walk us through some of that stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so funny because the original fishmongers in the world were actually women. Men would go out and fish, and women would sell their fish in the marketplace so that they could stay on the water and the women could sell the fish. Okay. So it's kind of interesting that it became a male-dominated industry when it was originally all women. And so I think that industry, like many others, during that sort of turn of the Industrial Revolution, men were the one in the office places, and women really didn't come into the workforce in full force until the 70s and 80s. And I think it, similarly to other industries, took women a while to penetrate it. Right. And in many ways, it's still a good old boys club. A lot of the seafood industry is filled with older people. Right. And so there's not a ton of young people in the industry when I was coming up. Now there's more, thankfully, because food has become a really hot industry. Right. And I think too, the hours. So if you're looking at chefs and restaurants, many chefs are working 80 hours minimum a week. And it's a really strong paced, hectic work environment. Traditionally, there was quite a bit of sexism in it. Kitchens have been a boys' club for a long time. So I think all of those things kind of kept women a little bit away from it. Right. But today, fortunately, women are leaders in all categories of the industry. You have Jacqueline Claudia, who's CEO of Love the Wild, which is a phenomenal seafood brand that's in retail cases everywhere. You've got top chefs in the country winning James Beard Awards, having the best restaurants in the country, led by women, owned by women. So women are really making their mark in this industry now. And I think it's more important than ever to have new young voices in it. whether you're male or female, but particularly female. We bring a different perspective to all facets of the industry. And I think any industry is truly enriched by diversity, by gender diversity in it.
Right. So, scholarship program.
Yeah, so on the scholarship front, this is something brand new, super exciting. It was actually started by a company called Quarry Arctic, and they are a salmon farm in the very north of Norway. And they are they put together with the James Beard Foundation a scholarship for 1 month. It's $10,000 scholarship to go live up in Norway, in the north of Norway, and experience life on the farm, on a salmon farm. And it's not only limited to women who might be interested in raising fish. They're also looking for women who are interested in marketing. They're looking for women who are interested in international logistics. They're looking for women who are interested in getting involved in the food industry in any capacity. And the application opened May 1st, and I believe it'll be open through June 11th. So this is a live opportunity for anybody who's interested in learning more about our industry, potentially participating in it in the future.
And they do it every year? This is a scholarship available every year?
This is the first one. So this is the first of its kind Women in Aquaculture Scholarship. So this is the very first year that it'll be instituted. And I'm sure it's the goal of the program is that this year, potentially, there'll be maybe 1 or 2 scholarships, but moving forward, there'll be more funding. And so then there'll be more scholarships available for more women to participate.
And are there other types of scholarship programs in the food industry that are catered specifically just to women?
Yeah, I mean, the James Beard Foundation, which is a wonderful nonprofit organization in New York City, based in New York City, they do tons of culinary scholarships every year, impact sustainability scholarships, and several of them are geared particularly toward women. One of them is, once you're in the industry, they do a women's entrepreneurial leadership program. And that is a more intensive workshop that focuses on the financial aspect of running a business, on the cultural aspect of running a business, and really provides women with great resources to promote their businesses and grow their businesses sustainably.
Okay. Cool.
So I'll be happy to provide you guys with all of those links so that people can become, involved and apply for these. They're completely free and they're fantastic programs.
Do you know what those links are off the top of your head?
Oh God, they're long.
Okay,
One
is it's super easy. What we'll do is anybody that's interested in this, go ahead and we're going to include her Instagram on this. Click on her Instagram, message her, and she will send that stuff to you personally. For anybody that's interested in this, if you're a woman, you want to be in the food industry, you want to get a scholarship, hit up Mel. She'll help you out.
I'm more than happy to connect you in any way, or even if you just have questions about being in the industry or how to break in. I've been fortunate to work on the production side, on the farm side, on the marketing side, on the sales side. So I've been fortunate to have a really large breadth of experience, and so be happy to point you in the right direction. I mean, awesome. I never would have gotten where I am if it wasn't for phenomenal mentorship. I had mentors, both male and female, in my career. I've been very fortunate to have them, and they really helped guide me, in the right direction, so that I made good choices and aligned myself with great companies.
So, speaking of all this stuff, and you obviously have had a pretty unique journey in this whole thing, and it's funny how it all kind of like came together for you, considering this is not what you initially set out to do. So for people that this is what they want to do, this is an area where they're like, hey, I actually want to get involved in this. This is a passion of mine. Doesn't really matter what their age is. What is some advice you can offer to those listening, especially if they are a woman and they are trying to get into this industry? What's some words of advice and wisdom to get them in and navigate through some of the things you've gone through?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you touched on a very key word there, and you really need passion. So I think the biggest advice that I can offer is find something you're passionate about. And that journey may look different for different people. Mine certainly was a winding road to get where I got to go. But find that thing you're passionate about and align yourself with a good mentor. That's really the biggest piece of advice that I could give to anyone listening. For women who are interested, or anyone who's interested in breaking into the food industry, I'd be happy to connect you with excellent mentors that will absolutely help guide you in your specific path, because the food industry is a really broad term. I mean, I'm fortunate to know female fisherwomen. I'm fortunate to know female chefs, female women in food service, female women who are farmers. So there's, depending on what direction you want to take it, there's really good people to contact in each realm. And then the other thing is really bring a want of learning to your everyday work life. I mean, for me, the thing I love the most about this industry is the sea is as deep as, we know less about the sea than we do about outer space, right? So it's kind of funny going from astronaut to someone who sells seafood. But you really want to bring that desire to learn. I love that I can never know everything about my industry. I can never know everything there is to know about seafood. So it gives me comfort knowing I get to spend the rest of my career learning and promoting the new things that are happening in our industry. Every day, they're becoming more sustainable. They're inventing new ways to do something that's been going on for centuries. So it's really an exciting industry to be a part of because of that lifelong learning aspect of it.
So really quickly, I do have another follow-up question here for you, which, you talk about sustainability. And so for me, I grew up in the Seattle area, which is a huge seafood area. Like Seattle and seafood go hand in hand.
Yes.
And I grew up fishing. My grandparents had a boat. I would go to lakes. I would go to rivers. I went out in the ocean. And growing up, I would always go fishing. My dad and I used to take trips when I was in college to go in halibut fishing. So we go deep sea fishing, which was always fun. But we hear about how the seas now are being overfished. And so when you're talking about renewable ways of doing this stuff, could you just bring us in a little bit to what that means? And especially for someone, I have no idea what that means. And I don't know how we're going to find a balance if we're overfishing the oceans. And I mean, is that something that's actually even happening? Are we seeing the fish count that we eat? Are we seeing that go away? And so walk us through that a little bit.
Absolutely. So here in the US, we are really fortunate. The seafood industry is exceptionally regulated. So if you're eating a seafood that was caught in the US, you're eating a sustainable seafood by nature. The way that the industry is regulated, you cannot fish unsustainably in US waters. There's an act called the Magnuson-Stevens Act, and that's really allowed government to regulate how many fish are caught, institute quotas, and really well manage our domestic fisheries. With regards to aquaculture, it's come a long way. A lot of people, for some reason, think farm fish is bad fish. And that's sort of an archaic idea. Today, farms are more sustainable than ever. They actually take less fish out of the water than they actually produce into the food system.
Okay.
And there are phenomenal farmers leading the way. And I'm fortunate to get to represent some of them, but there are many others. And in the US, we're far behind the rest of the world in responsible aquaculture production. There's very few farms in the US. Most of them are oysters, which are, I would just like to say, if you don't eat oysters now, please eat them. They are the ocean's vacuum cleaner, and they're delicious. So one of the most sustainable things you can eat is an oyster, a mussel, or a clam. Okay. And they're delicious and easy to cook. An oyster, you don't have to cook, just pop it open. And so with regards to aquaculture, actually Trump just passed a bill or signed a bill into law that is designed to promote more sustainable aquaculture here in the US. So this sector is going to be booming in the next few years as we look to create more food here locally in the US.
Okay. Cool.
And I think that what's going on now with coronavirus has shown us that, when they shut down air travel, it's very difficult to get fish from other places.
Right.
So, and food from other places. So what we really need to do is promote more sustainable food production here in the US. And that means your fish will just be fresher, it'll be more local, and you'll be promoting local jobs. So that it's the most exciting time to become involved in aquaculture because it's really going to explode here in the US in the next coming years.
Oh, nice. Well, that's awesome information. I didn't know any of that. Well, man, this is great info. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm excited that people are going to be able to hear about this and get involved. But quickly, just give me a rundown. Give us your Instagram anyways, and how people can connect with you and be involved with following your journey.
Absolutely. So my Instagram is @theultramel. And my email, I'm happy to put my email out there too. It's mel@ultco.us. And I'm more than happy to talk to anyone who's interested in becoming part of our industry. Whether, like I said, no matter what facet you're looking at getting into, I'm happy to help point you in the right direction. We need more women in this business.
Awesome. Well, I love it so much. And thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot myself, and I'm excited to hopefully share this with other people who will learn a lot as well. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today and be part of this. And man, it's going to be fun watching that journey. And hopefully some people do really get inspired by this and connect with you. I'm looking forward to hearing about that as well. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Well,
thank you so much.
As the product of 2 single moms, thanks for being such a great girl dad and for putting this out there. It really means a lot, to me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and everyone who gets to listen to this podcast.
Of course. Well, thank you so much. And for all of you listeners out there, thank you for joining us today. You're on my podcast, Get It, with Stephen Basita, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one soon. Hope you enjoyed today's cast, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.